I'm Priya. I'm a second year SDM student,
Hi, I'm Priyasha. I'm a first year resident student.
and we are Team P Square. In this project, we are going to make personal digital wine steward. As we discussed last time, that there are many people who find it very difficult to buy best wines for themselves due to availability and complexity of so many varieties of wine available in market. This problem can be solved using machine learning as there is a lot of data available online.
Uh, so to solve this problem, we plan to build a user interface where user will be able to input his or her needs, and then we'll suggest them the wines which match their needs. So to identify the user needs, we interviewed a couple of people who drink wines and identified like what are the factors they look for when they go and choose the wines. So these were some of the factors which they look for when they go and choose the wine, like taste, flavor, etc. In terms of technology updates, we got our data source from Kaggle, which has the data in the form of a CSV format, which lists the wines from different countries and different regions. We converted that data into the JSON object, and then we did initial data visualization using plotly.js. We next plan to implement machine learning algorithms using naive Bayes and k-means clustering to build our model for prediction of wine suggestions. And we plan to make our user interface using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Next, we have the code and the visualizations.
We created a very generic graph function over here using reduce method to plot different visualizations. Uh, we created a pie chart of our data to see the data distribution by country, by province, and by variety. Based on this data visualization, we feel that variety is the most relevant classifier as it's most uniformly distributed among all the wine data that we have.
So here is a very crude prototype of the app which we'll be developing. This shows the entry page of our web application, and going to the next page, here we'll be asking different questions to the user, getting his preferences such as which fruit he likes and different kinds of taste he likes, and different types of flavors he or she prefers. So here we have just shown just one question for like as a prototype, but then we will have like 4 or 5 more questions to get the user preferences. And then when the user clicks on the enter button, then the next page will give them the suggestions of the wines which they might like based on the preferences which they entered on the previous screen. So that is the general uh, prototype for our application.
Some of the risks that are associated with this process first is are data cleaning and stemming. We have lots of data available, but the description column, which is the most important column in our data, is very huge and it needs to be cleaned. We are planning to remove all the punctuation words, stem it, so that we are left with the most relevant adjectives and adverbs that define a wine. As there are so many varieties of wines in our data, which creates multiple classes, and therefore our training our model would be very complex and time consuming, which is again a huge risk. Lastly, model accuracy is a risk because we would find it difficult to actually verify whether our recommendations were truly helpful to our users or not.
In terms of next steps, now that we have decided that we would classify the wines using the variety, we'll most probably use k-means clustering for identifying the classification. Next, we plan to train our data for each of the classification and then build the model to predict the wines once the user has entered his or her preferences in terms of taste and flavor and the smell which they like. And final step would be to develop the user interface to complete the web application. That is all about our project. Thank you.
Thank you.